All right, Kenyan President William Ruto has condemned the death of 31-year-old Albert Ojwang while in police custody, urging transparency and prompt investigations into the matter. The incident has resulted in criticism of the Kenyan police, who have faced numerous allegations of human rights abuses, including the crackdown on activists, enforced disappearances, and etc. Let's play a video, and we're going to chat about this particular story, looking at an overview of human rights activists and how they've been treated in recent days, as well as public outrage in terms of the treatment and enforced disappearances of some activists from Kenya. This video by human rights activist in Kenya, Wanjeru Nderu.
This is difficult. I do not know where to begin. But I am very broken. Broken not just for this nation, but for the family of our comrade, Ojwang. Watching his father gives us a representation of what is happening in very many families across Kenya, where they have lost their loved ones, their children, either from being disappeared, enforced disappearances, or outright murder. Some bodies have never been found. We can't quantify how many Kenyans we have lost. And that look on his face, I know that look. It's a look of disbelief. It's almost like you're in a dream state, like you don't believe what is happening to you is actually happening. Not trying, your brain is trying to understand what could be going on. I know that look because I saw it on my parents when we lost my sister Wanjeru in 2010 after a sudden illness. And that look and feeling doesn't go away. It doesn't. And this is happening to very many families across Kenya right now. The state is killing its children with impunity. Zero regard for human life. Zero. We don't matter. Our lives are nothing to these people. As long as they can still keep to their powerful spaces and their big offices and their helicopters and their watches and their red-bottomed shoes. They don't care about the rest of us. Kenya, we need a reset. A complete reset.
Let's get reaction then in terms of what we've just heard and watched. If you are live streaming with us on Rise and Shine, from Kenyan government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura. Isaac, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Let's talk first. I don't know if you heard in terms of that video by human rights activist in Kenya, Wanjeru Nderu. There is public outrage in the country in terms of how activism is being cracked down on, as it seems, from the eyes of the public. Your response to that video?
I don't think so. I don't agree with that Wanjeru person. I think that is just evoking a lot of emotions and trying to talk as if the country is burning. Of course, possibly posturing for Western donors. That's not the case. I completely dissociate myself with that kind of sentiment from such a person.
Let's talk about Albert Omondi Ojwang, who died in police custody at a central police station in Nairobi. 5 police officers are indicted. As far as our introduction was saying, the president now has spoken for the first time in terms of this particular incident, where there was also a public outrage. The offence is said to have been false publication or defamation for him to have been in police custody in the first place. What do you know about how true those allegations were?
Yeah, that's what we know so far. And from the government's stand is that we will make sure that there is justice that is brought to book. The police who are been allegedly suspected for having done this, there will be investigation by the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPO as we call it here, and so action shall be taken, and already action has already been taken to a certain extent, And we really condemn as a government this action. It's not acceptable. It doesn't matter whether somebody has been defamed or not, but that cannot cost lives. So possibly these are overzealous police officers who really, went out of their way, in their quest to do what they thought was right. But it is wrong. It is actually wrong. It's unacceptable. But then we leave that now to the investigators so that they can, IPOA, so that they can actually give us a true account of what is happening. Already yesterday there were parliamentary proceedings and hearings at the Senate, and a lot was revealed. So we also see a way to see what Parliament, which is an independent arm of government, will conclude on the submissions, even as the criminal investigations are launched.
In terms of, as you speak of responses, the President has acknowledged that there is growing public concern over the conduct of police forces, and has reaffirmed the government's commitment to ending unconstitutional and abusive practices by law enforcement. As it stands in terms of activism in Kenya, can activists continue in their search for freedom, for liberation and transparency in governance, in terms of what the President has said, and what's the response been from the President in terms of addressing and making sure that the Kenyan people do feel that there isn't a clampdown on activism?
There is every intention to ensure that every Kenyan is given the right to express themselves freely, but also to be responsible. And the President has made this commitment in his remarks yesterday, and that is the government position. Over and above that, there are some people of the civil society who really have become activists just for the sake of it, in terms of it's just some kind of activistocracy. Because why am I saying so? I have participated with them. I even recently was a chief guest in one of their functions, but they couldn't even allow me to speak. They were just shouting everything down. Those are not people who are there for it. They are there for politics. They are there for the showmanship, and they should be separated completely. From the idea that they can think that they will be able to drag the country down just because they are anarchists. So I condemn them actually, personally, because they are not necessarily representing the wishes of Kenyans. They are in the business for the sake of it.
Yeah.
But then every Kenyan has a right to freedom of expression. That is a guarantee in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Kenya. And that remains to be the position of the government. And that we will not relent in doing. And that is why we are saying whatever has happened is unacceptable. And we really, as a government, send our most sincere condolences to the family, relatives, and friends of Albert Omondi Ojwang, who has passed on. That is not really something that we can condone, and action shall be taken. However, we also want to say, because we have seen reactionary forces around the civil society and even our political competitors taking advantage of this to settle political scores, and of course to posture as the ones who are guarantors of human rights and fundamental freedoms. But yet we know very well they are innate for the business of it. So that one we must also call out.
Isaac, when can we expect results from that investigation? As you say, the Independent Policing Oversight Authorities continues with investigations on this particular case of Mr. Ojwang.
I think I'll leave that to the chair of the IPOA. He was out of the country.
What is the President saying in terms of the time frame he's given them to give us answers?
No, there is nobody who can dictate the timeline, because that is subject to investigations and they take a little bit longer. But of course, it will be done as quickly as it is possibly
as quickly as possible. Thank you so much. We'll leave it on that note.
Yes, exactly.
Isaac, thank you again for joining us on Rise and Shine. Isaac Mwaura is Kenyan's government